So a year ago when we first started planning this, we had a hypothesis. Many of us, including many people in this room, feel that we are poised as a field on the verge of potentially a revolution in mental health care. But many of us also believe that we as clinicians and scientists and engineers and entrepreneurs have an important role in that revolution and important things to say to guide that revolution, to make sure that the revolution results in greater access and more effective care and not just more. And in organizing this event, we were sort of testing that hypothesis. What is the level of interest in the community, in industry, in academia, in healthcare, in these sorts of topics and in the beginning of this revolution? And from the really exhilarating and overwhelming response we had from the community, from sponsors, and from stakeholders, I think that that hypothesis has been supported. And in fact, the event sold out on Friday. We didn't close registration in time, so we actually went slightly over what our target was, which is very exciting. So it's been an honor to produce this event, and thank you all for joining us in what we hope is a convening moment in building the future of mental health care. So here's the way the agenda is organized. Day one is primarily focused on innovations in analytics and technology, what is currently being developed that can help us solving these problems in mental health care. And day two is really focused on translation, on policy insights, on how do we transform healthcare systems and really move the needle in public health using these insights from digital technology. Today in particular, we're starting with a session on data science. So how do you take all of the data that is being collected through many different types of devices and translate that to information about mental health and how to change care? That's followed by a keynote by Dr. Sarah or Holly Lisenby on quantification of behavior and the role of digital technology in mental health from the NIH perspective. After lunch, we have a data blitz, which is brief talks from innovators from around the local community and also across the United States on technologies they're developing and validating in this field. Following that, we have two sessions, one on digital diagnostic techniques for understanding phenotypes, for understanding change, for understanding mental health. And then finally, a session on reinventing the laboratory. So now that we have all these technologies, how does that change the way we approach research, and how does that break down the walls of the laboratory traditionally? Few quick logistics. First, you'll notice in your program that you have one of these sorts of cards that says name, question. We have attendees from many different areas this year, from industry, from academia, from healthcare, from patient stakeholder groups, and we're choosing to do a structured Q&A session to make sure as many of those views as possible are represented. So if you have a question, write it on a card, and then volunteers will be circulating before the question sessions to pick up those cards, and then we will direct those cards to the speakers or to the panel sessions. You can also tweet a question at, do we have the hashtag up here? Hold on. Bottom right. Oh, yes, good. Right. TIPS 2017, so TIPS 2017. So if you are I looked on the internet, so tweeter or twitterer, apparently either of them is acceptable. Go ahead and do that. I will be tweeting hopefully fairly coherently throughout the event. That might disintegrate over time, but bear with me. If you are a speaker, I have a sign that I bought on Amazon that's pretty much the most obnoxious sign I could find. And that's just to help us keep time. So if I could just, slow means you have 2 minutes left. There's no fast sign, but it's like a yellow light. You just go faster. And then stop means time's up. And so I'm going to keep us to time, or someone else will keep you to time. If you're sitting in the two front rows, please bear in mind we have video that's going to be done through the event, so you are going to be in the video. So Tom, I think you might be in it, and a gentleman there. So just, if you don't want to be in that, then move back a little bit. And let's see, so what else did it do? Oh yes, and if you need something, we have volunteers that will be at the registration desk at all times throughout the events, just outside, and also circulating to collect cards. You can tell who the volunteers are because they are extremely helpful looking, so that's important. So is that clear? Good? Did I forget anything? No? Right? Nothing really important? Posters. Poster session this evening, stay. We have booze, and non-booze as well. 5:30 to 7, so posters and drinks. There's pretty much no better combination than that. I also want to take a moment to thank my team, so not just the people who are in leadership that have helped organize the event, but people like Sarah Vogel and Nick Mirren. I don't know, Sarah, where are you? Back there, right? Nick's here. Who have really been on the ground doing so much of the work to make this event possible. Sarah's going to be embarrassed, but I'm going to say that she's applying for graduate school this semester, so if you guys have labs, she's currently accepting applications. Anyway, so thank you guys. So let's get the party started, shall we? As our kickoff session, we will be talking about data science and psychiatry. So how and what insights we might get from the growing sources of data that are out there and help us learn about mental health. We are extremely fortunate to have Carol Vallone leading this session. Carol is a leader in online education and health and a serial entrepreneur. She has spent the last 30-plus years as founder and CEO of market-leading organizations with a focus on launching, scaling, and selling multiple global companies. In addition to her great success as a business leader, she is also a board member of the NGH Institute of Health Professions and a long-standing member of McLean Hospital's own Board of Trustees with over a decade of service. Ladies and gentlemen, Carol Vallone.